This is seriously more saves than I've ever done on any file ever. So, you guys should be proud of me.
Brent mentioned that yesterday.
Did I never save?
Well, you said you came in one morning, you're like, dude, I worked all morning and I didn't save and I lost everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I do that. Wait, I mean, Marlon, you've heard me. Fuck! Like the entire animation department's like, Zach didn't save again. Yep. But like I said, you always do it better and faster the second time. So, at least you better. Make more of a pop on all of this here. Pop, pop. This is kind of going against my don't do a bouncing ball on the hips, but right now it's a down and up, but it's fairly spaced apart in time, so we'll be able to cushion out the bottom enough to give that the weight that it deserves. I'm actually going to do... Should I do that? No. We're going to break down that arm to ones on that section. Because in order to get all that stuff, all these snaps, we're gonna be doing everything on ones. My guess, though, let's play blast this real quick. My guess is that's going to be too soft and the timing's not right. I don't want my cameras. I like to play blast without my camera or without my video reference there because I don't want to be like, oh, I did it differently, and then I try to make it look like my video reference again. Like I deviated from the reference on purpose. You know, we're making choices, we're not rotoscoping. So if I have that there, I always am like, I'm comparing and contrasting, and that's not the point. So.
What would you say are your hardest shots for you to do? Subtler stuff, full body stuff, cartoony stuff?
I think cartoony is harder for me because it can go so many places. There's so many tricks in the cartoony tool set, and knowing which ones to use where. I really enjoy that challenge, though. I enjoy the squashy, stretchy, you know. I enjoy trying to make physics into that, and like, because for me everything kind of has like a system of rules, and cartoony animation, while it breaks physical rules, still has its own rules. So like it still has squash and stretch. It's a different type of squash and stretch. You know, working on Hulk, like I had squash and stretch in there, but the rigs literally wouldn't allow you to scale anything, to squash anything. You had to do it with the pose, and so like you can get away with a lot more fun stuff with cartoony, where you can literally just push pieces around and you're kind of just sculpting a blob a little bit more than like individual pieces, and then your spacing gets to be a lot more broad.
And so after your bouncing ball pass, you're matching poses in your cartoon pass, right? I mean, is it more about, or are you actually layering?
I'm layering a lot more. Like that King Candy shot, it was, you know, if I like the rhythm of the bounces, like okay, that's a step, technically, like in physics world, you know, that bounce is a step, so it's like I have to get my contacts and my push off and stuff like that, and so I'll drop in poses just on the legs. It was probably like on twos more or less.
Like the legs and the root.
Well, because I already had the root, I basically copied the ball onto the root and cleaned that up, and then did like a squash and stretch pass on the torso. So I had that working, and then, but I didn't do any Y rotation on the hips because I was going to wait until I had the legs in. So then, as I was posing the legs, I'd point the hips where they needed to go. I just kind of did just the squash and stretch and the overall direction of the body to show, you know, momentum. So it's tilted forward when it's running, it tilts back when it's slowing down, stuff like that. So I could kind of get my S curves that way, and then, like I said, I would tilt the hips, keeping the chest more or less where it was from my squash and stretch pass, tilting the hips at the legs, And I mean, that was all kinds of like, I wanted like a scramble. So I was trying to like layer texture on top of texture. Again, trying to keep the focus where it needs to be and letting that feet stuff just be not noise, but kind of on top of everything. And then once I did that, I did a 2D pass on the arms, because just to experiment, because that, again, and that's why I say I struggle the most on cartoonies, because that could have gone any direction. With the way the arms were, I wanted this like, I don't know what to say, and so I did this like pointing thing, but like it could have been this, you know, and so like I just kind of played with where was the energy going through his body, and like where can I place a pose long enough for you to read it while still making him move fast, and like do I stretch out the finger to get where it needs to go and then bring the hand in, you know, so that for 2 frames you get to see that finger, because with motion blur and everything you have to kind of cheat a lot more. That's also why cartoony stuff takes me just a little bit longer, because you have to figure that out. It's like the smear idea before. It's like you're moving that fast, you really have to trick the eye into seeing something, because motion blur is going to usually kill it.
Are you hiding the different parts when you're doing this layering?
Yeah. And I'll do that as I start splining here too. I'll select the faces and just do isolate select on just the torso for this camera, and we'll look at just how that is moving. I'll usually do torso and legs more often than not, just because they need to correlate so directly. For cartoonier stuff, because the legs isn't so physical, I can fake the physics later. I did the torso by itself. Alright, we're going to look at that throw, and I think the timing's going to be wrong.
You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
It's not bad.
You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir! Get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir! Get lose! Good day, sir!
I think it's a little late. You know, there's that old truism that isn't always true of anticipate your dialogue by 2 frames. I hate that. Don't always do that. Sometimes you need to do it. I think the more true rule is closed mouth shapes need to be there for 2 frames. But don't hold. A lot of people think that means like I move to an M and I hold it for 2 frames, and you're like, no, it's a different type of M for 2 frames, and like different parts of the mouth might be opening and closing. But it is usually good, like broad stuff like this, body stuff, to anticipate the dialogue a little bit more than I'm doing. I'm hitting pretty straight on. In fact, I'm almost a few frames late just like looking at the waveform. So I'm actually going to pull that back a little bit. I'm going to pull that one back and make that more snappy. I think it's safe to pull these back. Does that work? Yeah. I'm not used to using Maya Play Blast, so I'm just going back to like college days.
Is that kind of part where he says you lose?
Yes.
Too, and you kind of offset that motion of him throwing it from the line?
Yeah.
What made you make that decision? Like, I feel like that's something like this. I like the way it looks. It looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's something that I would never think to do that.
It was for me. It was mostly for texture, because everything was like you get nothing is one move. Good day, sir is one move, and I wanted to mix up kind of the texture of the whole scene, the rhythm of the scene, and I also think the reason I wanted in a lot of my other takes, I did a you get nothing, and I liked that gesture but I really liked this pose because of the directness of it. So I felt like, and I guess I didn't like consciously think about it too much, but trying to like.
Yeah, I want to be like that. It's not even thinking, just do all the right thing.
Well, I mean, there is reasoning behind it. I guess I wasn't like, I didn't like actively say like I want this. It was just kind of, but I know instinctually what I wanted was I wanted this action, and if right now I had you lose, and so it was just kind of that. And if I do that, it's kind of like this. It echoes that acting choice while still fitting within the mechanics of what I really liked about the flow of this video reference. So separating that out, and it also just makes him like more staccato and more authoritative, which he's basically saying, I am the boss. And the more you can force that like strength in this shot in particular, you know, it goes back to the subtext of the shot. You know, whatever the point of the shot is, the more you can reinforce where they're coming from emotionally, the better. And for me, breaking that up feels more controlled and more in charge, which I think is awesome for this make-believe scenario that I have in my head for their relationship.
Good day, sir.
That's gonna be better. That paper's gonna be the death of me.
Good day, sir.
Looks like he spikes on the floor. All right.
Good day, sir.
Yeah, that's gonna work better. A little snappier. Timing's a little bit better.
Good day, sir.
And once we spline that out, the punch is going to be in the right time for the punch in the dialogue. Let's save again, just to be safe.